Okay, let's watch the initial part of the takeaway. This golfer has a tendency to do is to lift the club up off the ground on the takeaway, and you'll see he does that primarily with his head. So the head is lifting up and up and up. We need to keep his head down a little more. And what's lifting his head, obviously, is his spine angle. So what we want to do is we want to feel that the left shoulder is rotating down and under the chin. And you'll see that's not what happens here. The left shoulder sort of comes out and pushes him up. So now his angle of his shoulders keeps getting flatter and flatter to the point where the shoulder line is way up here like this, and it needs to be down a little bit more. I would say if we could get him down to this angle here, he's going to have a better contact. I don't want him all the way down to the golf ball, down where it's a little bit more parallel to where the club was at setup. See how parallel that line is? So if you take one line here, which is the club line, and the other line, they should be parallel as he makes his takeaway. So we'll work hard on getting those parallel instead of the lifting up, which pulls him up and away from the shot. It also makes it so he can't get his arms up where he belongs. So his arms are also, we need to get his forearm parallel to his shoulders, and it's not there either. It's well below the swing path. Now he's going to start down, and he's going to kind of come a little bit outside. Not bad. Right on through the shot to the ball. Now that was his practice swing, so let's advance now. Let's see what he does in real life. I'm going to play this in slow motion. Lifts up. Over the top. Now what you saw in the practice swing was a nice dropping to the inside, and then what you saw is this over the top move. This is what's killing his swing right there. Okay? Got to get rid of that, Bob. The shoulders here are a little rounded. We'd like to see the lower spine a little bit more to 1 o'clock, then he can pull his shoulders back and not have quite such a rounded off spine angle. We'd really rather see the spine come straight up through and the head be able to touch the back of that spine angle, and he's not quite there yet. So we're going to work a little bit on that. So let's watch the takeaway. Once again, we want to see the club staying on or above the line. See how he takes it. Not bad. See, he's pretty close right there. Then he's going to come up. Now on the way down, what we look at is, does the club drop back straight down and end up below the yellow line? No, see, he's going forward with it. The swing, that's our natural tendency to swing forward to the golf ball, but we really want to drop the club down. This is coming over the top. You can see right now, right there, the club is parallel to the forearm. Can you see this line here? That's the forearm line. It needs to be parallel. I'll draw this in yellow, blue I mean. It needs to be parallel to this line. So the club, at this point, needs to be parallel to the swing plane, which means it's also parallel to the right forearm or the trail forearm. Let's bring it down into the shot. See, it's pulling up out of it and ends up with the club parallel again with this line here that we drew in, rather than the bottom line, right on through to the finish. That's swing path, and I think swing path is one of the more critical things after the face angle is swing path. So work hard on your swing path. Let's clear all those blue lines out, back it up, watch the swing in slow motion. And over the top. All right, work on it, buddy. I think what you'll notice right away with this golfer is how the left hand is going to go palm down almost immediately on the takeaway. Watch this. Right there, see that? How the left arm is coming out. That's pretty common. What we want the swinger to do, golf club, is just move the left elbow straight back and let the club open on its own. He's over-rotating early and getting the hands out away from his body. We shouldn't see any gap in the forearm. And you can see right now he's getting kind of stuck looking. Then he's going to get to the top of his backswing. And he's going to have that big baseball type pitch where the club now is way up over his left ear. That'd be all right if he could learn how to reroute the club back down and through to the ball. Let's see if he does that. Nope, he's going straight down again, chopping wood. Straight down, outside the line. steep attack, and he's going to pull up and out of the shot so he doesn't slam the ground too hard. You see there's been no movement into the shot with the hips. I still can't see any of his left butt cheek. I need to get more butt cheek. Still up there, we finally get it. That's where he should be at impact with his right foot fully planted on the ground. So we're going to work on getting that lower body rotating under the upper body. One of the things I look for is the dynamic shift into the ball and into the target line on the downswing. I'd like to see his hips and let's use a different line for that one. Let's use a straight line. I'd like to see his side set up more on that angle so that he's a little straighter there, and that would allow the formation of the backwards K. So if he could just tilt a little bit, I think we'd have a little better setup. What we definitely want him to see, though, is to get his body past that yellow line through and after impact. And watch what happens here. He stays kind of stacked on that yellow line. Then he gets back here. He's pretty good shape if he would just shift the hips now that way so that at least the center of his body is past the yellow line prior to impact. Let's see what happens. Not much. See, it's staying right there. Now he's just got to bring his hands in. There's no way to extend his left arm fully down the target line because his shoulders are at such an angle that the left arm would be way longer than the right arm. So that's why he's getting the chicken wing. He's got no rotation that way at all with his hips and no movement at all towards the target. So let's work on getting that transition happening. We know he can get there because he gets there at the finish. This is truly a timing thing. All timing is putting the sequence in the right order at the right time. And it's out of order and not at the right time with this golf swing. We see a pretty decent setup here. What's going to happen is in the takeaway, he's going to lift the club up and then even go more to the outside of the swing plane on the way down. Let's watch this in slow motion. We go back. He's going to lift right away. You can watch his hands. He's going to lift up. There's the lifting. Elbows are coming apart. Right elbow's behind him. Now the leverage angle from this point is this way. There's no leverage going the other way. So what he's going to do is he's actually going to swing that way. See how he's swinging out over the top? Now even increasing the lever angle towards the outside. Now the club is dead parallel to the lead arm, and it's actually going to get outside the lead arm there. So now the club is way outside the swing plane. He's going to cut across it and be lucky to hit a good shot. Notice how he's pulling his arms in because he can't finish. He's swinging out to left field instead of right field. It's going to be very inconsistent. We've got to get him to route the club from here, kind of back down the way. The downswing should look more like this. See that? Back down to the ball. Try to work for a one-plane swing. You've got a two-plane swing, and unfortunately, both planes are wrong. I drew in a line showing the spine angle. So watch the takeaway here. Spine angle staying really steady, isn't it? Really nice there. A little over the top move right there. See that? Where he's coming just a little outside. Pretty nice one-plane swing. Pulled a little out of the shot here. Instead of turning the chest through the shot here, he's pulling up just a hair. See that? So we like to have him stay down a little bit more, keep that spine tilted further a little longer, forward a little longer. The other thing we're going to look at here is I'm going to clear the white line out. We're going to go back and watch this on the way down. What we'd like to see is the club being a little bit more parallel to the trail forearm. See how it's a little out of the trail forearm there? If it was parallel to the trail forearm, he'd be in better shape. In order to do that, I think he's got to shift his hips more towards the target so the hands will be a little lower than they are at that point. The blue line represents the swing plane based on his setup. The yellow line represents where his spine should be with this setup. We'd like to see about a 90-degree angle between the club plane and the spine angle. So let's just leave the club plane in there, see how he does. We're using a device called Skills, which you can see out on the ground there, to help him smooth his takeaway out and keep it above the swing plane. Does a nice job there. Now let's see if we can drop it down inside the swing plane. Again, there we got to drop the hands, not go forward with the hands. Now he's going to, does go forward. So he's set out over the top. So once again, we want to route the club head down and then down the swing line. All right, so let's undo that. Let's watch the move. Again, the club is parallel to the lead arm, not to the trail arm. Turn on through the shot. Pretty good contact. So we need to get the shaft a little more laid off or flatter or more parallel to the ground on the downswing. I think it's pretty easy to see in this setup that the shoulders are on a different line than the feet. The feet are kind of going out that way a little bit, and you can see the shoulders have to be going the other way because we can see that the lead arm is under the trail arm, which means the shoulders are to the left. That's usually setting up for a cut or a pull, and I think what he's trying to do here is hit a straight shot, so let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and bring in our swing plane. We'll do it white on white here. There's our swing plane. Going above the swing plane, which is okay. But he's lifted up quite a bit there. You see that? How he's lifted up. Got his hands way up over the top. Now he's coming way out to the outside on the way back down again, which is more consistent where his spine angle turns out to be. And there goes the slice. So we got to get him to route the club back to the inside on his downswing. So the club has to go from here. Whoops, go right to here. From here, we want the club to go down and under. That happens by rotating your hips and bumping your lead hip towards the target. Here we see a pretty good setup. The knees are parallel, the toes are parallel, the lead arm is above the trail arm. Exactly how we want it to be. Let's go ahead and draw in the swing plane here, if I can get it pretty good. Now again, remember we want the club head to stay on or above the swing plane on the way back, and below the swing plane on the way back down. So there he is on the plane very nicely. Then he's going to drop it right back down in the slot. Now what I want you to notice, as he's coming into the slot like this, what he's done is he's got the shaft parallel with the trail arm, not the lead arm. So the club will be thrown out to the target, which is the golf ball in this case, and to the right of the target line. The only thing I'd like to see more is just a little bit more hip rotation. I like to see both butt pockets just after impact. We don't even see one. So a little bit more hip rotation through, but a great plane on the golf swing. And I think this is one of the first times he swung his driver. It was a good job. Okay, what we have here is a pretty decent setup. 30 degrees or so is a good angle to be bent over. He's at 38. That's close enough. Arms are hanging nice and free. Let's see if he maintains that angle through the backswing. Now what we do see immediately in the backswing, how he's turning the left arm out instead of taking it straight back, so it's going to end up with the club stuck a little bit behind him. But he's maintaining his spine angle really well. That tells us that the issue of his inconsistency is not in his spine angle. That's pretty good. That's really good. I mean, people work really hard to get that. I think his inconsistency is coming right here, and if we watch right here, you're going to watch that left arm turn out and away from his body. That's throwing him out of position, over-rotating the club. So we'd like to see that left arm go straight back on the backswing. Here we see another golfer that when he takes the club back, he turns the left shoulder out instead of down under his chin. You want to almost feel like the palm of your left hand comes up on the backswing to the sky. And you can see right now he's turning it behind him really rapidly. That ends up with the club getting stuck in behind you a little bit like that and get you off plane. You really want to try to get the left arm to go straight back, keeping the club outside your hands as long as possible. So you see what happens here is his club, right there, he did a really good job of dropping that club back down to be on the same line as the right forearm. But you see how open the club is. That's because his left arm got drifted out so far from his body on the takeaway that it was hard to get it back into place. Flips at it. Now notice he's flipping. The right hand is under the club. His butt hasn't rotated. He hasn't turned his right knee much, so he gets a little bit stuck. Here we have the swing plane drawn in here. What we're going to see is a golfer that takes his left arm straight back and it keeps the club right there on the plane. Very nice move right there. Let's move on through the swing, see if we can pick up anything. What we see here is tightness. There should be a little more relaxing in the golf club here. The golf club's head really wants to continue on this arc down that way to get flat, parallel to the ground. He's actually holding it up and resisting. That's going to create tension and keep the golfer from swinging through with all the energy possible. Down and through. Good positioning there. Turn into the shot. Good hip action. Look at the drive there. Right on through to a good finish. She did a great job here. Wonderful.